Welcome to Talking Halos. This is Derek Ciapola with my co-host and partners in crime, Jared Timms and Nate Green, with a long-awaited return to Talking Angels baseball. And we don't have a whole lot of Angels baseball to talk about, at least because there's the World Series and all going on. So, first things first, Jared, how you doing?
Doing great. It's been fun World Series. I know Angels fans aren't gonna like to hear it, but it's been a fun World Series, that's for sure.
Nate?
Yeah, and it's fun watching each of these games. They've been competitive. Uh, watching some of the best players play is good. It's nice to see that somebody can compete with the Dodgers too.
I am thoroughly enjoying this World Series. I didn't think I would. I didn't think I would, but the Blue Jays are going to run for their money. Uh, but I mean, I know we're not big fans of Shohei around here, but seeing some of the stuff he's doing, it's 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 enjoyable as well. Just even if he holds up a sign saying Ippei did it. It's
I mean, getting on base 9 times is really impressive. Like,
it is,
regardless
yes.
of if it was an 18 inning game, the fact you got on 9 times in a row is stupid.
It's it and just it's the Barry Bonds treatment, right? That's all it is. The full Barry Bonds treatment. And that's been really interesting to see him years later getting it. Stuff you guys were a little young to have seen back 20 some years ago. Now you're seeing a repeat with Ohtani. So, I mean, I guess it's the first inning of the World Series thus far. I've been enjoying the matches. I've been enjoying how um I just been enjoying the chess. The 18 inning game, a lot of people aren't gonna like that. I've been loving it. I've been loving it all. It's been good to watch. So, anyways, right now we're watching game 5 and Toronto's winning as we speak. We'll see how that turns out. Any other thoughts, Nate, on the World Series itself?
I think for me it's a little disappointing because it just shows how far behind the Angels are. Just looking at some of the things of what these teams have been able to do, and I think starting pitching is very very important. I've always said that, and looking how important both these teams have made starting pitching look. I mean, um, Toronto, Shane Bieber needed to give them some length last night. He hadn't made too many starts this year because of the TJ, and he gave him enough length to get through that thing, and he was huge. They used Bassett out of the bullpen, another starter who's been pretty good for them as well. Savage has been good. Like it just feels like yes, the bullpen has been good for both sides, but the starting pitching, like it feels like the recipe to all these games are if this starter gets through this inning, good luck because you're going to be in some trouble. If the starter doesn't get through this inning, you got a shot. And that's kind of been what both teams have been able to say. If the Dodgers are like, hey, can we get our starter through 6 or 7? We're winning this game. And the Blue Jays are thinking the same thing. If we get our guy through 6, we're probably winning this game. So I think that was one thing for me. And I think the other thing is I've been so impressed with the Blue Jays. They just don't punch. Like they just don't punch out ever. And like I know they've had one game where Yamamoto got him pretty good, but other than that, like they are tough outs. And to see the way that they approach hitting compared to the way the Angels approach hitting, it's not even in the same area code. It's not even in the same country, literally. But it's just like, man, these guys they know how to extend ABs, they know how to work counts, and they're just swinging at strikes, and it's something that we haven't really seen from the Angels in a while. And we saw the big punch outs this year. We saw a lot of them, and we saw teams kind of waiting for home runs. And they mentioned it yesterday. The Blue Jays homers have come with guys on base, and it's not because they're walking in front of them. It's because base it, and then bomb, or base it, and then a double or something like that. Like their home runs aren't solo shots, and so yeah, it just shows how far behind the Angels are right now.
Jared, do you want to say anything to that?
Yeah, I watched Shohei and it's extremely disappointing what the Angels could have had. Like I watched what like just said it, he got on base 9 times in a row and it's like, damn, like, what could the Angels have had? You had Shohei Ohtani, you had Mike Trout, like what could you have built with that team? Like I know that, already doesn't care. He didn't care enough to build what the Dodgers are building. He didn't want to build that type of thing, and that's perfectly fine. But like, yeah, you go watch Shohei hit, and you go watch Shohei pitch, and it's like, dang, like, what could the Angels have been like? What could they have done for Mike Trout? Not like playing the what if game, but you kind of have to right now because it's impressive what Shohei is doing right now. Um, and I wish the Angels would have done a little something more with him and Trout and everybody else that they had at that time because like they could have built some playoff teams. It wouldn't have been that hard to do it. So it just kind of shows how much, in my opinion, Artie Moreno just doesn't care about the organization anymore. Um, at all. It just he's not there. He doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to win or he doesn't care about business at this point. Like it's not even like, it's we're talking good business, bad business or anything like that. Like just doesn't care. He just quit. He's not even around. So yeah, it's I play the what if game all day on the Shohei Ohtani thing. But when it comes to the World Series, I thought this has been a fantastic World Series. Um, Outside of the announcing, I think that Schmaltz is taking a step back. I'm not like Schmaltz has been really bad. I thought Joe Davis has been really bad. And you can say we can sit here and say as Angels fans like, oh yeah, they're rooting for the Dodgers and such like that. But I think that Joe Davis has been okay on calls. I don't think he's been unbelievable. I think Schmaltz has been just okay on things. But the games in general have been a lot of fun. It's been cool to see arguably the two best players in each division. I know Aaron Judge isn't in the World Series, but Vladdy's hitting like one of the best players in baseball right now. And then you have the Dodgers who have the three-headed monster with Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie, three of the best players there, along with their starting rotation. It's just been really good baseball. It's been a lot of fun. I hope they go 7 innings so we can talk about this series for years because this is actually shaping up to be one of the better World Series that we've had over the past, I don't know, in the 2000s era is probably like there haven't been very many that it just feels like you never know what's going to happen. And not even with the 18 inning game or anything like that, because that was a lot of fun as well. So yeah, altogether, I think the World Series has been an absolute blast. I'm enjoying it.
Man, I didn't expect all the Artie hate from you today. That's a lot of opinion, a lot of hot take. You think he doesn't care business-wise anymore?
No, not at all. He doesn't. I mean, it sucks. Like you would think that he would care business wise, but I mean, not even from like a baseball team perspective. Like he can't really do any renovations to the stadium. He can't buy anything. He can't eat like so why like he doesn't care. Doesn't show up to, any press conferences, doesn't like he doesn't want the team. It doesn't feel like he wants the team anymore. He doesn't have a kid. He doesn't have kids that want the team. Like he's almost is he 80 years old? He's 79 years old now. He's 80 years old. Like I don't think that he cares anymore. I think he wants to take he can however much he can make from a sale and he's done. Make his $3 billion on the Angels, $4 billion, whatever he ends up selling it for down the road. Whenever that happens, and yeah, because if he cared about business, he would he would have been trying to put out better product, trying to do things to the stadium, trying to do certain things, and it just doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Over the last like probably 2 years since the stadium sale went down, which has probably been what 2 years now, since that's happened, it just doesn't feel like he wants it anymore. He doesn't want to own a baseball team. So we'll see. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but that's just the feeling I get.
In reply to that, Nate,
I
at
plead the
all.
fifth.
I, I don't know if it's that. I don't know that he knows what to do. I remember a time when he was one of the best owners in baseball, which is so. I mean, it's kind of hard seeing that paradox. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. It's just kind of interesting seeing years later saying, "Man, he basically doesn't care, blah blah blah." I mean, the team's worth, you know, almost $2 billion more than it was when he bought it. So he's done something right, but like the last 5, 10 years, you wonder, right? You wonder where they are, where they're going, and so
And I mean, we've been Artie advocates. Not at like we haven't been pro Artie, but we've been like he's a good businessman. But like the past, you think about it over the past, 2, 3, maybe 4 years since really probably since, COVID in a sense. Like it feels like it hasn't just he hasn't been that guy. He just hasn't wanted it. Wanted the Angels in a sense. Like not just even from a baseball standpoint, from a business standpoint too. Just, he's just kind of feels like it's just kind of done. I could be wrong. I could 100%, 10% be wrong, but just my feeling because we've talked good about Artie. Like he's done good business things for this organization, from a business standpoint. And like you mentioned, he was a great owner, but now it's just not the same anymore.
Well, let's talk about some other things. Like, should there be a salary cap, guys? That's been coming up a lot, especially with the pay disparity in this World Series right now. Toronto leads 3-1 as we're watching here in Game 5. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are overall. Start with you, Nate. Should there be a salary cap?
Absolutely not. I think salary caps are pointless. Jared knew exactly how I feel about that one, but let's just look at the other three major sports in America. Okay, we got the NBA, we got the NHL, and we got the NFL, which is the biggest one. Okay, all three have some sort of salary cap, correct? How many of those leagues have a true dynasty where one team has run their respective league for multiple years? All of them, right? You had Golden State, you had whatever team LeBron was on. That was kind of the NBA. The NFL, right now it's Kansas City Chiefs. Before that, it was Tom Brady and New England Patriots. Before that, you could even go back to Dallas when they had their mini run. And then the NHL, I believe Florida has won the last two or three, if I remember. Is it two or three?
Two. I think it's
Two.
last two in
Hmm.
the NHL.
Yeah.
Last time that we have had a repeat World Series winner, eh, throwing out this year because obviously we don't know, would have been all the way back in 2000 and 2000. 99, 98, 99, 2000. Those 3 years was the last time that we've had a repeat winner in this league. So I understand that like maybe some teams feel like that they should have a little bit better chance of winning. But honestly, when you look at the report that came out a couple of weeks ago with which said how much a team earns and how much money they spend, I saw the Chicago Cubs spending like 40% of their income or something stupid like that. And it's like if you really want to win, spend more money. Like you're getting enough revenue to cover this. Tampa Bay, Sacramento, the Athletics, like they're still getting money. They're spending way less money than they're getting. Cleveland is another team on that list that is spending way less money than they are getting in. So if you want to win and you want to be competitive, spend more money. It's not illegal. Like obviously I don't like the way the Dodgers did it. I don't love the help me out, Jared. I don't love
Deferrals.
the deferrals. Thank you. But I mean, other than that, like spend as much money as you want. Like we've seen it work for teams. The Dodgers were able to win this last year and could potentially win this year with all the money they've spent. The Mets have spent a crazy amount of money. They've won one series since then, I believe. So like money doesn't equal wins. And we see teams every year that don't spend money that end up in the postseason. And it's just, why are we so concerned with the amount of money teams are spending? Like, as long as you're not being irresponsible, where it's like, hey, we're basically going to go broke trying to win this World Series, and we're spending, three, four, five times the amount of money that other teams are willing to spend on these guys. Like, hey, we're only going to own the team for 2 more years, so we're going to spend an absurd amount of money on all these guys. We're going to sell the team and then move on. Like that's where I would have an issue with it. But we haven't really seen any of that, and I don't think the Dodgers are doing that. I think the Dodgers have a bunch of really wealthy people. That's what I was going to bring up to Jared when he was bashing Artie a little bit. It's like Artie's one guy with one pocketbook. The Dodgers are three different people with three giant pocketbooks. So when they want to go get something, they can. And so I think salary cap is absolutely ridiculous.
Sure.
I'll answer that question a little bit off here. When it comes to the CBA, you have to give and take. a little bit. The MLB, the Players Association, and the owners. You're gonna have to give and take a little bit, and that's gonna be the biggest disparity in what could be a lockout in 2027. With that being said, no, there should not be a salary cap at all. It shouldn't be. And if there is a salary cap, you need a salary floor. At the end of the day, like those are the only two things that you can equal up from a players association and owners perspective that equal each other, that you can get the most out of. Like, hey, we're not gonna spend that much on teams. We're putting a salary cap in, but we're gonna make the lower teams spend a little bit more on players, so that it evens it out a little bit. Because I think that a salary cap, I don't know what that number would be. I think what the Lux tax right now is 115, maybe, or
Two
315. Sorry, 350,
250,
315.
250,
Is it 250?
or
Is
maybe
where
315.
I
It might
think
be
it's about three
315.
315.
It
I think by the end of next year it ends up being like 320 something. I'd have to I haven't looked at that in a hot second, but
I think it's 250, but either way, it's north of 200.
yeah, I would. Well, I think that what I mean by your Lux tax, you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
I think that a salary cap would have to be north of like 350, and I think that a salary floor would have to be over 100 million. If that's the way that you're gonna go about things. So at the end of the day, no, I don't think there should be a salary cap. I don't necessarily think there needs to be a salary floor either, by any means, because of what Nate said. Like, teams are still winning. Like, just because you're not spending money doesn't mean that you're bad at baseball. There isn't that owner that is just not spending money. Like, the A's for a little while did it, but I mean, even the A's have been having to spend money. And they've also developed, and they do a good job with that stuff, and they're on the verge of being a contender. I think at this point we can all kind of agree on that. I think they're a couple pitchers away from being a contender. Um, Even the Angels, like, they may not spend money the right way, but the Angels spend money. Um, so yeah, I don't think there should be a cap. I don't think there should be a floor. I do think, though, the one thing um, that I think everybody is forgetting about is the deferrals, like Nate said. And I think that's gotta either stop, or that's gotta be how everybody signs a contract. You can't just defer money, especially the way the Dodgers are doing it. That's like a Shohei Ohtani type of contract. Like, even if a player agrees with it, you have to have like a deferral cap. You need to, have a certain amount of money that you have to pay a guy. You can't just defer $68 million, you know, at the end of the day there. And it's not even like you're not really deferring it in a sense, because you still have to pay it. It goes into the bank account and fun stuff like that, but it needs to be shown on the payroll as $70 million. Or, if you're going to defer, it's got to be a certain percentage, 80%, something like that has to be, paid up front. So I think that's going to be where the biggest amount of arguing goes in this next CBA is going to be deferrals and such like that, not necessarily a cap or a floor or anything like that. So, long answer short there for you.
That was a real long answer.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Long answer.
I had a lot on my mind when
Um,
it came to that.
for I think you've already opened Pandora's box when it comes to the deferrals, and the Dodgers did it. How do you outlaw it? How do you, no matter how you try to maneuver it, the Dodgers already got what they wanted. They got the mass deferred contract that they wanted, and there's really no other need to go out there and have any more for them. Like, they got the guys. So even if they went and restricted it, what are you going to do? You're going to grandfather that, and then nobody else can do it? How are you going to function with that? To me, you need a salary floor. And the reason being is, if at the very least a team isn't trying to win, so to speak, they're still forced to go out there and bring some talent into that players want to see. Sorry, teams want to see. Fans want to see. I bet. Right now, like, being near Pittsburgh is a great example of this. Other than Paul Skeens and maybe Bubba Chandler next year, why would you want to even remotely go to a Pittsburgh Pirates game? There's no reason to go. They don't spend money. There's zero hope there. And you can say, oh, Derek, you're full of it. I live there. I go to the games. I interact with the fans. It is brutal right now. We think things are hopeless, and with the Angels, it's pretty close. For Pittsburgh, they've had what, three winning seasons in 30 years, something like that, and they have an ownership that's not spending money. Beautiful ballpark, one of the best ballparks in the major leagues. Prices are pretty good there in terms of how much they're making money, and like you need a floor. You need to force these teams to go out there, at least bring a star and bring somebody in who's worth paying to give fans their money's worth. And right now, these owners are just taking the cash in and they're pocketing it and they're not bringing it back to fans. That's their decision. If they want to keep doing that, that's fine. But allowing them to pay the absolute minimum of what it is right now, I mean, super, super low, you got to raise that up. There's got to be more of a floor, in my opinion. The fans deserve better. It's my view.
But like Jared said though, if you bring in a floor, the owners are going to want a cap, and it's going to be that I feel like those two have to come together. Like you're not going to get one without the other, and it is what it is. But I did go back and make sure that I wasn't crazy when I said 40%. I was actually a little high on the Cubs. The Cubs spend 36.4% of their revenue. So they brought in 584 million and they spent 213 on payroll this year. Pittsburgh was also down there. They were 27th. They had 326 million in revenue and they spent 112 million in revenue, which was good for 34.5 million of payroll slash revenue. Number one actually was the Mets at 90%, and number two was the Dodgers at 73%. So when you look at that stuff, it's like, what are we crying about? Like these teams are making north of 300 million for the most part. I think there's four teams making less than 300 million and they're spending under 100 million. That means they are pocketing over 200 million dollars. What is the issue here? Like if you want to compete and spend $85 million, dollars, go go own a different team. Go own a minor league team or something. But if you want to win, spend some money.
I'll say this on top of that. How much does it cost to play a game?
Yeah,
A
it
home
costs a
game,
little bit. It costs a little bit of money.
right?
You got all that stuff as well, but
No, it's definitely you're definitely I'd say a lot of these teams are in the black for sure. They're not in the red. Maybe the Mets are, maybe the Dodgers might be in the black, but I mean after they win a World Series, after they go to the playoffs and go to the World
they
Series again,
they
probably not. Um
they're on the black for sure. It's not
yeah,
even close. They
but
got 752 million in revenue. Their payroll was 549.
yeah. No,
They're for sure in the black.
yeah. All I'm saying though is there's other expenses that go into it too. It's not just like we have to remember that it's not just player salary either. As much as we'd like it to be, there's, probably I think it'd be fair to say an extra $100 million to play a Major League Baseball season, right? Like costs
Yeah.
in general,
Sure.
like so there is that. Like and I don't know, I could totally be off and somebody could fact check me on that. But so that there's that.
Well, I
That's
mean,
all
we're
I'm saying.
talking about, well, you're saying there should be a cap, and I, you already have one. It's a soft cap, is what it is, and you're going to pay a fee if you go over that cap. There is a cap,
Hmm.
okay, and teams like the Angels will do whatever it takes to spend up to that cap and not go over, others will. So I'm not sure I understand the whole, well, there needs to be a cap. You have a cap. It's just a soft cap.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there needs to be something. We want to blame the Dodgers. It's all the Dodgers' fault. The Dodgers are ruining baseball. No, I don't think they're ruining baseball. I think that they're taking advantage of the system that's been allowed to them. They're finding loopholes that we should be finding loopholes in. Every team should be trying to find the best way to win. And I can't get mad at them for them doing what it takes to win. We would all, like, would you not be thrilled if the Angels took every single step they could to put a winning baseball team on the field? Can you say the same even for the Pirates right now? Can you say the same about um I won't say the A's because the A's I think are trying to build. I think they wrecked that franchise on purpose to get out of Oakland. That's a different story. But in terms of teams like the Pirates, like even to the point like the Guardians probably should have won a couple World Series in the last decade if they'd spent some money. That's a shame. That's a shame. And here we are. They're still the Indians to me, by the way. Just want to point that out. But anyway, we got to move on. And we have one more thing to talk about. It's not our favorite topic to talk about, so I'm not sure how deep we'll get into it. The the trial right now is going on concerning Tyler Skaggs and Eric Kay. His ex-wife has taken the stand. I know this is a sensitive topic for many of us. I want to ask you guys, just really starting with Jared, how are you feeling about what's been coming out in this trial and what you're reading?
Um, Nate pled the fifth. Can I plead the fifth?
No, mine is
Uh,
different.
hey, you set
Um,
the agenda, so I'm gonna make you answer the question.
I did. It's tough. I'm not gonna, not gonna sugarcoat that. It's tough to see it, especially when I'd say that, a lot of people knew a lot of these people that are on the stand right now. Whether it is Tim Mead or I don't know if anybody else that's currently with the Angels has been there, but Mike Trout, the old HR and old HR that's there. So yeah, it's definitely tough to see it at the end of the day. You just kind of want it to be over at this point. You know, you you don't want to. I don't want to keep reading about it on a daily basis. So I I want it to be over. I don't know which way it's going to go, whether it's going to be go in the Angels direction, the Skags direction. I am not 100% sure. Um, but yeah, there'll definitely be a time and a place that to talk about it more and get into it a lot more for me at least.
Nate,
Yeah, for me, I think it just kind of shows the dysfunction of this organization, which I think kind of points to what we've been saying for a while now. Is this organization feels very dysfunctional, and we kind of seen it with a lot of people telling a completely different story, and it's tough when you have one person saying one thing, another person saying another thing. It's like it really shows the dysfunction of this organization, and we'll see where this ends up. I don't want to speculate or anything. I don't want to keep adding to any of this because we have no idea. Maybe there's something else that comes out that helps one side or the other, but I think it just shows how dysfunctional this organization has been for the last 10 years or so.
does it affect you both in terms of how you view the franchise as a fan, both as a baseball fan in general, and or just as a person, how you view them?
Coming from a coming from a place where I've been in clubhouses before, Nate can kind of say the same thing. Um, Not saying that any of this is acceptable by any means, but there are definitely things that go on in a clubhouse don't that don't get out to the public for reasons, and I this is incredibly horrible that this something like this happened, and that a lot of these stories are getting out. But yeah, I kind of understand it, being a former college player where we've been in clubhouses before. I not like this by any means. I mean, you'd hope that you're never in a dysfunctional clubhouse like it seems uh like it's been, or a dysfunctional organization. Even, I mean, you can even bring it up with like a job, like Derek, you teach, like you probably don't want to be in an organization that's like this. Like, so it's tough. I don't want to be in an I wouldn't want to be in an organization that's like this either. But yeah, from a player perspective, me being in clubhouses before, like it there's I understand a lot of it, and I understand why, the Angels aren't haven't won baseball games at the end of the day. Not to turn it to that, but if what's going on in the courtroom has anything to do with the Angels itself, like Nate said, it shows a lot, and it sucks.
I just want to point out for me, um, it's something I'm wrestling with. A longer time fan remembers various ownership groups over the years, the Autries, Disney, so on and so forth. And I remember the good days of Artie's ownership. You guys often will hear me talking about the good old days. And you because you kind of have to have something to hold on to. To me as a fan, with all those days in the past and what we've always wanted to view this franchise as, this is incredibly disappointing. across the board. And while I'll always be a fan of the team that's on the field, regardless of what the players are, um, it's really hard for me to support the organization as a whole right now. It's embarrassing across the board. It's the dysfunction is disgraceful, and there doesn't seem to be any inclination to do better. And maybe you can hope things will change, but will they? The same people are in charge. And that's why I think there's been so much. I mean, go back, listen to our podcast in 2019. I didn't talk like this. I gave much more benefit of the doubt, but we've seen enough, right? And so I'm looking at this and I'm just embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for the players. They're having laundry aired out. I'm embarrassed for the organization. I'm embarrassed as a fan because, you know, you just expect people to be better human beings about it, one way or the other. Do I make sense or do I sound like an idiot?
No, I understand it.
And so I, it's man, 40 plus years makes me long for the Autry years. So that's it, guys. That's all we have. We're gonna go back to the World Series and watch the Jays and the Dodgers go at it. So we're gonna leave here. Follow Jared on X at Jared_Tims. Follow Nate Green 34. Follow me at DC Apollo. Follow us overall on X at Talking Halos. My mail only checked out for a month. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to deal with our sponsors, who I forgot to do an ad for earlier, and I'm sure Jared will promptly cut this out because I'm embarrassing him greatly right now. We're out of here. Have a great one.